Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Spiritual Times with me, Philip Solomon. And this week I'm going to talk to you about, well, try and answer a question that a lot of people have asked me about over the years, especially new and developing mediums. And that question is, how do you, well, you can't be like me and I can't be like you is the answer. But a lot of people ask me, how can I do a lot of messages or just very quickly make my links the way that you do? Well, like I said, we're all different, aren't we? And I don't think you should try to be like me. You should be like yourself. But what I would suggest is that, I can help you a little bit. And perhaps, well, one of the biggest mistake that inexperienced mediums make is probably overthinking, and especially their interpretation of their links with spirit. They overthink it and spend far too long really thinking about making that link. What you really should do is, as soon as you make the link, you want to link with the person that it's for in your audience, or if you're in the church or congregation, and bring that link and just give what you get. Don't fall into this foolish thing that you see a lot of inexperienced mediums doing, over elaborating what's coming through. You want to just get what you get it from spirit, give it to the person that you feel drawn to. Try and learn, ask spirit to give you a sign who to go to as well, so as you know exactly where you need to go to when you're looking out there at your audience or the people that you're working with, so that you can immediately make that link and then just give what you get. Don't elaborate on it, you know. And the other thing, if you find that people are not accepting what you give, don't try and force it. Don't try and force them to accept. If they can't accept it, well, just move on. Just say, well, thank you for working with me or attempting to work with me, and move on. Now, again, you're going to say, well, we don't seem to see you having those sort of problems. But like I say, again, it's about being very experienced and being very confident. You need to be very confident so that you can do that. Just give what you get, give it straight, give it quick, and get it accepted. And then, once you've given the message, the name from the person, the description of the person that you're working with, and the information that they want passing over, give that information to the person who's going to receive it, and then move on to the next one. I see so many young mediums today who, they do three, four, maybe six messages all night long. And, you just wouldn't do if you were in a theatre or something where, there's hundreds of people out there who've come along to see you demonstrate mediumship. You've got to be prepared to, work with a lot of people and to the key is just to give what you get. Don't see elaboration, over descriptive messages that I say that's not really of any importance. If you've given John or Matilda to the person that you feel that it's relevant for, and you give them a little bit of information about their background, describe them if you want to and what they have to say, then move on. It's very easy to fall into the trap of, oh, I'm doing well with this one, so I'll carry on and on and on. And people are thinking, well, that's nice for that person, but what about all the rest of us? Now, I've been very lucky over the years that I've been able to do 20, 25 messages, or if I've been in a small event, maybe a church or somewhere with, or a small private event with perhaps 20 people, to go to everybody and give them all a message. Because invariably, spirit know that their loved ones are there. And it's your job, really, just to, make a link for them, give them the proof of the afterlife. Because that's what they really come for, isn't it, And, it's what you need to do. I often describe it as the delay effect. Hesitation creates a gap. And that's a funny way to describe it. But if you hesitate a bit to give what you get, rather than, sort of making, oh, hello, can I come to you now? How are you? All this, and backwards and forwards. No one is interested in that. They want the message from the loved one delivered with compassion and professionally, but they want it done. and then it's your job after that to move on to the next one, henceforth and so forth. I always have what I call the delay effect. You see, sometimes a medium will link with a person, and then they'll be there, oh, just a minute now, just a minute, It doesn't work like that. As soon as what comes into your head, try very hard to just give the message without not overdoing it or overcooking it. I think one of the biggest mistakes that inexperienced mediums make is overthinking as well, and the interpretation instead of just delivering it. Get it through, get it delivered. They overthink about it, and often it's because they have a lack of confidence. They're not sure that that what they've got is real sometimes. But then if you've not got that confidence, you shouldn't really be doing the work yet, should you? You should be back in a circle, learning to develop and have the confidence to quickly make messages and give them with kindness, and professional, but with positive information. They're not really interested in once you've given the person, they're not really interested in you talking about, oh, this person, they like to sing, or they like to, go down the market, and and they enjoyed talking to their friends when they went shopping. Yeah, you don't need that. Just give the positive information and then on to the next one. But that's what you need to do. To get used to doing really true and fast messages, you have to do what I've said. You have to say what you get. We've all fell into the trap of not doing that. I've done it myself years ago. I always remember when I made this link with a very nice gentleman, and he asked me to pass over the message. And you'll laugh at this, but it was a difficult one for me to pass over to the person who was receiving his message, that he was always aware that at one time his wife, or whoever she was, had taken the bacon that she was cooking off the cat. The cat had got the bacon, and she'd taken it off, cleaned it up and cooked it and given it to him. Terrible, really, isn't it? But I'm nervous, but I give that message, and the person come up to me after and says, oh, I'm not the greatest believer, but it's absolutely true. I did do that, and only he and I would know that. Now, just imagine that I've not been brave enough or confident enough, and I was finding it a little bit difficult to give that message what he wanted delivering. Because anything else, I could have told her about the clothes he wear and the type of work he did and what he liked to do. Most men, perhaps have a drink or things of that nature. She openly said it wouldn't have meant nothing to her. But that did, and proved to that person the continuation of the afterlife. But I could have easily, sort of chickened out. And that's what you need to do yourself, really. Also remember, spirit often communicate in symbols, sudden feelings, or isolated words. If you wait to understand what they are saying, perhaps a red bike, you might decide it's silly and change it to something more logical, like, did your person close to you ride a red bike to work every day? It's not needed. It's just, I've got somebody who rode a red bike, and his name is Bill, and that's it. That's enough. People come out and they're desperate to get proof of the afterlife. They don't want all this going on and on over all different things. They want something that just positive proves to them. They've come along this evening and they've had proof, positive links from the other side, and that's what it's all about. And if you can't do that, well, you ain't really ready to be doing the work yet. And I think that does apply in a lot of situations. What can help you overcome these early hurdles of not having total confidence is, try not to keep over-analysing yourself as well. Am I doing this? Is it from spirit? Is it from my imagination? It's totally normal that you would think that. You've got to be confident and just give what you get. All my students have the years, and there are as many of them will tell you, I've always emphasised one thing: give what you get. Now, never elaborate it, just give what you get, and you'll find that you'll do the job, you'll be accepted, and you'll do very well. You'll say that. Yeah, as well, don't try to keep explaining something as well. If you see a sewing machine, you don't really need to say, "Oh, your grandmother loved to sew, didn't she?" Yeah, she made her own clothes, didn't she? She had one of those old-fashioned machines, that she used. When she wasn't sewing them, she polished it on it. Really, what you need to say is, "I've got your grandma here, or your auntie, whoever. Uh, she had a sewing machine, and this is her name." That's what you need to. That's real mediumship. People are not interested in hearing. Everybody had sewing machines years ago, but you can give that. Then you quickly need to give a very specific message. It's what I call not trying to make it fit, because you sometimes, again, see some mediums who try to make it fit. Never ever argue or try to squeeze, into acceptance. I say some people, "Oh, it's really embarrassing." You see the medium going over and over trying to get the person to accept the message, and the person is, saying no, no, and eventually, really, just in the hope of escaping embarrassment, I say, "Oh, I'll take it with me, or I'll think about it." Nah, nah. If you are in a situation like that, just move on. Thank the person for working with you, then move on to someone who you can quickly give specific information to, of proof of the continuation of life in the higher life, the spirit world, because that's what the job is. Difficult, but to always understand, but that's what it has to be. And remember as well, sometimes you get a different spirit communicator coming to you. The person coming through might not be the primary person the person in the audience was wanting to talk to. And perhaps, it's not the partner, or the husband or the wife, but rather an uncle or a distant ancestor or neighbour, trying to clear the path between the worlds. And if you've got a link from them, and you know that that's the person that you should be with, you give the quick information. And if they accept it, wonderful. If they don't, well, then you thank them for working with you and move on. You don't need to overflow. And I've seen this done by some I've seen it done by very experienced, famous mediums even. And they're up there, and they go on and on and on. And they come along, and they're at a venue or a show, and they do about 5 or 6 messages all night. And there's 200 people out there who've all come along, and they've been disappointed because they haven't had so much of a chance. I know you can't go to everybody in a situation like that, but you certainly should be able to do, if you're a professional, trained medium, you should be able to do more than 5 or 6 messages, in my view. People have said to me that I'm a hard teacher. Push my students to get working well and fast. But I think that's what we need in spiritualism today. We need people out there who can do the work, do the messages, do it quick, do it very, very specific and meaningful. Not all this going all around the reeking, Okay. What else can I say to you? Oh, yeah. You need to. This is something that I wanted to say to you as well. You need to remember, as a medium, I call it grief amnesia effect. Those people out there, many of them are suffering from heavy grief or stress, and often experiencing a temporary memory freeze. You go to them, and you know that what you're giving is right, but they just can't remember or accept it. If you're right, don't go down the avenue of trying to come up with something different to work with them. You give the message, and if they say they're genuinely saying they cannot accept it or remember it, you have to understand sometimes when people are under pressure like that, they have got that brain freeze and they don't remember it. oh my gosh, more often than not, they're going to come up to you after the event. So I realise now who you were talking about. You know, it was such and such a person. And yeah, and it's not your place to be angry or, because no one likes to look a fool if you're giving messages and after three or four, everybody's saying no, or I'll think about it, or I'll take that with me, and people are starting to think, oh, he or she is not as good as what, I've led to believe that they were or are, you know. So don't hanging on forever and ever, or trying to make things fix. You don't want to be doing that. I suppose one of the things that I've now written down here in my notes, if you're in a situation like that and you are feeling under pressure because they're not accepting what you say, you ask Spirit to give you dates, or pick up physical sensations. What are their personality traits or shared memories that you can very quickly give to the person who's received the message? Bingo, you're linking up and you're doing the work. It's not easy, I know that. And it's very easy in the early days when you're first doing your work and perhaps people are not accepting what you give. You know, it's easy to fall under the sort of ways of, trying to force it on people. Or, I've even seen people well, how can I put this? Certain churches where there are certain people in the front rows they'd gone to and spent an awful lot of time with the hope or the knowledge that they'll be able to link there and give impressive information. It's not impressive at all, really. You need to be going all around. More often than not, I have people who tucked away right at the back who don't really want the message, and those are the ones I'll go to more often than not because that's who Spirit have come for. And that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. Overthinking as well, don't do that because that can destroy your accuracy. I call that the editing filter. Spirit, they come through in unusual ways at times, and it's not easy to just give that piece of specific information. I know that. And of course, you've got to be careful of falling into the ego trappers that you might have yourself as well, because we all do sometimes, especially inexperienced mediums. They'll often feel a massive pressure to be right, this fear of failing, or the people out there all saying no, and you're standing up there with everybody looking at you and you're feeling, oh dear me, or how quick can I get off this rostrum or off this stage? Well, I have sympathy for you if I've trained you, but if you're up there and, before I've advised you or your teachers or the people developing you that you're ready to do that, well, then you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to have those sort of problems, aren't you? That's what it's all about, really. Yes. That's another thing as well. You get some people who will come along and they, they think that they can control spirit or get spirit to do what they want them to do. And that can apply to the people out there in the audiences or or the pews in the church. They might have said something to, I want you to come through tonight before they've come and give me the word, I don't know, 3 oranges and a hap. And that's what they're expecting. Now, spirits are not about being played with, really, and being silly. Having said that, I have had that in private readings where, I've had something come through like that. And I've said, why is this person talking about, I don't know, a pineapple or a bunch of cherries? Oh, well, that was what I wanted to hear, which is all very well, but spirit really is not there to be played with, not to be played with. And if you find you've got somebody who you think is doing that, then their expectations are putting you under pressure, and it's quite right for you to move on and work with other people who do need the help and are grateful for the work that you're doing. Well, it's not a very long one tonight, but it's one really that that I've get asked about a lot, really. How can they do a lot more mediumship messages quickly, faster? I suppose when you get confident that you know and that you're focused on what you need to do, you will find, if you've had this experience and good training, that it will be quite easy for you to give messages that are meaningful and are acceptable to people. And honestly, if you find that you're going to events or whatever, and week after week your work's not being accepted in the way that you would want it to, then really that's spirit bringing you another message, and that's that you need to go back and redevelop or sit for a little bit longer in your development circle, or maybe take some training with an experienced mentor. That can often be, I know a lot of people have said to me when they first start going up on their rostrum in churches, that's usually their first place to start working. Oh, I wouldn't really like to have the mentor, have someone on stage and mentor me. But that's really, really helpful to you. You can have an experienced medium alongside you who can help you in your efforts to fastly give messages that are clear and meaningful. If you are struggling, a good medium will pick it up and help you to do that. And very, very, very quickly you'll find that you don't need that. Well, I've been giving you quite, well, I haven't really been meaning to be harsh with you really, but it's a question that a lot of you do ask me. And it's all about putting in your development time and then, you know, learning to have the experience to go up on the rostrum with confidence. Unfortunately, a lot of mediums, psychic mediums as they call themselves, and we're forced to say that, aren't we, to sort of say that our work is for, well, entertainment purposes only. I really hate that, because it isn't really just offensive to us as mediums, it's offensive to spirit and our religion. But they have to call themselves psychic mediums, and sometimes I've seen one or two very famous mediums who've had that written up on the curtains behind them for entertainment purposes only. And that's a shame, really, because it's not about entertainment. It's about giving quick, positive information that proves for as many people the higher existence of the spirit world is a reality, and that their loved ones go on. And if you really work at it, you will be able to do it as well. One other thing I will say, and those of you who have trained with me will know that this is something that I say in the very early start of your training. You need to go and do a counselling course as well, so as you know what you can and cannot say. If you're picking up an information perhaps from someone who wants, let's say, linking with a girl in the audience who's having a baby, and she's not married, or she's not in a steady relationship, you couldn't go and give that message to her about that if a mother was sitting by the side of her, could you? And that's why you need to go and do a basic counselling course, so as you can learn what you can give and what you can't give, and how you can give advice of that sort of nature in a correct and professional way. You're a medium first and foremost, but you're also a counsellor as well, and it's just as important. Well, only a short one for this month, ladies and gentlemen, but I hope it will be of use to you, and I'll speak to you all in another month's time. In the meantime, I wish you good night and God bless. Okay, and I'll speak to you again in a month's time.